Well, welcome back. Time for our Impact interview. And why not start the year with one of the most successful coaches in college football history? Every stop along the way, all he does is win games. Over 85% of them over 17 years at Bowling Green, Utah, Florida, and unfortunately at Ohio State. Hey, welcome to three-time national championship head coach Urban Meyer. Urban, thanks for joining us. We appreciate the time.
Oh, it's great to be with you guys.
Hey, look, you're back with Fox Sports, and that's a fun group for sure. You have some USC guys, and I bet they didn't think they'd ever see the day they were in the Big Ten. But we want to know what it's like working with that group specifically. But this is our Impact interview. So tell us what impact you like to make in that position as you keep tabs on the entire college football world.
Well, Fox came to me after my last year at Ohio State, and they said we want to really make a dent in the market and do the studio show or do a pregame show. And I've always loved Fox. And the thing that really hit me as the president, Eric Shanks, said Fox is all about celebrating this great game. And I'm into that too. I know Jay and Coach Bradley are as well, that this is a great game. And when you focus on the greatness of the game, the greatness of the players and the positivity of it, and that's what Fox does. And then you throw Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, Brady Quinn, and Rob Stone. Those are like family to me now. I love those guys. We have a great time together. They are so relevant in the game of football. Reggie Bush, arguably the greatest. When you watch his videotape, arguably the greatest player ever played the game of college football. You have Matt and Brady that are basically coaches on the field when they play quarterback, and Rob Stone's our point guard. So I love those guys.
Urban, your career as a head coach at a number of schools was really exceptional. My dad and I used to joke about what we'd like to be on the first line of our obituary, but without getting morbid, because you're still young, if you could put only one thing on your resume, would it be the national titles or the perfect record versus the team up north or something else?
Oh, boy, that's a tough one.
That's how deep it runs with the team up north.
As much as I love your father, I could see him asking that question. And I could see that it might be 7-0 against that team up north. I mean, I grew up in the Woody Hayes, Bo Schembechler 10-year war. And first of all, the respect I have for our rival, the Wolverines, is immense. You know, people think that there's, I didn't say but the respect is incredible. I mean, that's a great place with great players, great coaches. And that's why every year you better strap that bad boy up, because it's, when I hear people talk about, well, it's one-sided, you better be careful, because they're very good. So that would be it.
Coach, one of the most underrated aspects of a team is the inside leadership that really takes good teams to a championship level. For younger players watching, can you talk a little bit about what gave you that edge to the great leaders you coached?
Yeah, the term is unselfish. And I'm telling you guys, I don't know if it's ever been harder. As our careers moved along, it became a little more difficult, but it's very hard right now. And the team, in my mind, sure, there's probably 5, 6, 7 teams right now that probably separate themselves with talent a little bit. But the team that is going to find a way to do the unselfish thing. Football is a dirty, nasty sport. You have to run down on kickoff. On kickoff return, you got to turn and flip your hips at 30 yards and take on a guy running 20 miles an hour. Nose guard or a 3 technique's got to take on 650 pounds of mass trying to knock you off the ball. It's a tough sport. A receiver that's thought he's going to get NIL money and he's going to go catch 1,000 yards of receptions, got to go block for the option play for the running back. The team that's unselfish will win. And I think some of the great teams that you guys have been around and I've been around, sure, talent is obviously a premium, but selflessness, that's a beautiful game. That's a beautiful thing about football. You can't clear out like other sports and one guy shoot a 3-point shot. Can't do that. There's no 3-point shots in football. All 11 have to participate, or you can't gain a yard on offense. You certainly can't stop them on defense. Selflessness is the key.
So, Coach, in 2020, no whiteout game with Ohio State because of COVID at Beaver Stadium. Later this fall, Minnesota gets the honor the week before the Buckeyes. So I get the feeling Coach Day's just fine with that. And while you were mostly successful in those games, what made it so challenging and tough for a visiting team?
Oh, it took over our last time playing it. I told Shelley and I told the media, I said this overtook LSU, was the hardest place to play. The the student body at Penn State is it's insanity. The fans are terrific. They don't like myself. They don't like the Buckeyes. That was made very clear to us as we entered the field. My gosh, was that place? When I saw that pop up that Ryan Day does not have to take the Buckeyes in the Happy Valley at Whiteout, to me that's at least a 7 to 10 point difference. That crowd that night, that's the most difficult crowd in college football.
So shifting gears a little bit, Ole Miss coach Lane Kiffin recently said that name, image, likeness, NIL should stand for now it's legal. As you look at the world of NIL, what challenges do you see for coaches trying to build teams and team cohesion while many of their players are also working on individual financial deals?
I just have great respect for the coaches and the leaders, because first of all, you got to be so careful how you recruit and who you recruit. And to keep a locker room together, I'm really studying the Big Ten, getting ready for this game. And Michigan State has done a really masterful job with this transfer portal. But I'm just wondering, how do you keep it together where you're bringing all this fluidity of players? When do you teach and develop a culture? Same thing with name and likeness. You have, if that's the number one sale pitch that you have in recruiting, or if that's the expectation, I just don't know how you keep that locker room where you have a right tackle that thinks he should be making this, or a backup tailback that, doesn't get his carries. Therefore, his family thinks he's going to lose out on the NIL money. I just think it's very difficult. I'm not saying it's wrong. I think when you see these television contracts come around, you see the coaches' salaries come around, certainly there should be, the players are the ones doing the work. But just the regulation and how you manage a locker room, I don't have the answer to that, Jake. I don't know. I'm not sure many people do have the answer for that.